I just came home by tram and I was being served an interesting footage about not tolerating aggression and aggressive attitudes in on the board of the tram. That in such a situation you shouldn't be well, you should act, you should inform the tram driver, you should report it to the police, you should call 112 and so on. And this, I think those actions and programs, documentaries like that are much needed, and I fully approve the message. But the problem is that the victim in one of the cases was portrayed as Muslim, where Muslim-looking man with long beard and this type of cap which is used in mosques during prayers. Well, if you can also think from this footage, from this drawing, that maybe it was some sort of Western hippie or hipster. I don't know, but he looked Muslim to me. And the aggressors, they were portrayed only by shadowed, but clearly they were European without beards and so on. In other scene, there was a woman who was being harassed by a man. Of course, that man was of course it was also a shadow of him, but you could see from his figure that he was a European without beard, and which is important here, he had a normal neck. Whereas the man who was a good Samaritan in the situation, and was being reporting this incident to the authorities, had this very overgrown neck, which is typical, well, for people who do fitness, of course, but also for people who are associated with the typical image of a person who would rather beat than report beating. So my question is only one: why we still insist on disfiguring the reality? Because you can just pop on the web page of Scotland Yard, for instance, and see that all the people, basically all the people who are wanted by the police are either people from Middle East, and clearly looking like people from Middle East, and predominantly Muslims, I think, judging from names and so on. And the other half were, of course, pinky-faced Brits, but almost universally with huge necks. So why the film is presented totally different than the reality looks like. And to be precise, and I would just to stress here that I would not like the idea of portraying all the people who are committing these crimes and misdemeanors in the film as Muslims or people with white necks. No, but we could do some more creative and responsible form of political correctness, like some of the directors in Hollywood. They usually take this policy of well, you can portray an African American as a wrongdoer, as a bandit, as a gangster, but in the same time you are supposed that you to also use some character which would be, for instance, the African American policeman. And I think that's fair, because I know, and I don't know it from Hollywood movies, I know it from my visit in America, visiting New York, that I have many African American black policemen and black soldiers. So no problem here. And even if there are much more probability that then you would be robbed by a black person than saved by a black person, I can live with that. It's fair. But why we keep insisting on disfiguring reality? For instance, when we know that there is 11% tops, and that it's decreasing percent of all the population of the United States is black, and we keep putting like 27% of all the actors, of the characters in the movie, and they are black. Even if, and sometimes we are even putting them to historical movies about medieval England, which is totally has no sense whatsoever. So why we keep disfiguring the reality, even when we want to present on another level some more objective truth.